Thinking about changing locations and shit. Man, get into this motherfucking bag. Stand out the way, I mean.
Is it weird that I got butterflies like as it started? What's up, guys? Welcome to the Better Take podcast, episode number 2. So I just wanted to number one, thank you guys so much for the support on the first video. It was actually really, really amazing just because, once again, I don't think I've said it enough on the first episode, but doing like a podcast is probably my favorite form of content at the moment. Obviously, I have TikTok, I have YouTube, I have Instagram, I have Twitter. Ooh, damn. I would say that podcasting falls maybe right behind Twitter. I know a lot of you guys listening probably do not have a Twitter, but Twitter is by far the greatest social media app out right now, in my personal opinion. I know that Elon Musk took it over and it's taken like a slight dip, but Twitter is almost like the news. This is how I divide the social media platforms, right? So you have Twitter, which is the news, Instagram, which is more so for highlights. TikTok is like basically everything. TikTok is like Google. It could be like content for creators. People like create short form content as well, information. And then you have YouTube, which is like kind of like all encompassing. It's more so for creators and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like a long form TikTok. But Twitter is like the news where you catch shit in real time. That's where all the funny shit be at. If you guys weren't aware, like a lot of the memes that are on Instagram are actually created on Twitter first. Then Instagram people take it from TikTok and post it on Instagram. But you guys are not aware of that because you guys aren't on Twitter. But kind of rehashing what happened over this past weekend. This past weekend, we had the Better Drop and the rebrand that I talked about in the first episode. It was very, very successful. I just wanted to thank you guys for the continued support. It's crazy because I think we are going into Q2 or closing out. We were closing out Q1, going to Q2. And to have the type of numbers that we had this time around was just absolutely amazing. And I know that's going to set us up for Q3 and then Q4, which is obviously like the biggest quarter. So like just having the amount of support that we had with this particular drop was absolutely amazing just because we're going in a completely new direction. I also want to shout out my team that was able to make everything happen when it comes to, number one, the shooting, receiving all the stuff. After that, with the rebrand, new website, there's just so many different things going on behind the scenes that are just absolutely chaotic. But I think that it came together in a beautiful way that allowed us to be very, very successful with this particular drop. So shout out to the team. Everyone knows exactly what they did when it comes to just like getting everything ready. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And it's kind of crazy because like literally, for the people that are watching, everything that I'm wearing right now, except the boots, is like GBT. Or damn, see, there I go again saying GBT. Everything that I'm wearing right now is better, right? So better pants, better socks, better jacket, better hat. Am I wearing better underwear? I don't know. I don't think so. we dropped better underwear a while ago, and even this is a better sample. This is like a knitted tank top that's coming with the Better brand, but a lot of you guys probably wouldn't know that because maybe you're not watching video. So last week, let's jump into this shit because this time around I got topics today. We got topics. We got talking points that we could go with. So yesterday I talked about talking trash, and it's funny because it started somewhat of a conversation that was not even directed in the particular, like it wasn't even directed in the right lane that it was supposed to be directed at. And my initial response was anger. I was pissed. I was like, how dare these motherfuckers talk about, trash talking powerlifting. So there's a lot of different ways that we can skin this particular conversation, but I'm gonna take a very like bird's eye view approach to that. So let's go ahead and talk about, is trash talk necessary in sports? And we could even get even more specific. Is trash talk necessary in powerlifting? I am of the school of thought that drama sells, right? You want to have some type of friction when it comes to bodybuilding, when it comes to powerlifting, when it comes to basketball, when it comes to football. That type of friction helps sell the product even more. Whenever you create these teams and they go against each other, you're literally building a fan base up and you're allowing the worlds to collide, and it creates like it creates a bigger platform for the product. So for example, let's go. I'm gonna keep it. Actually, no. Let's expand. Let's expand past just powerlifting. just because I think people need to understand more, right? Whenever we talk about, let's say, okay, let's talk about Jordan and the Bad Boy Pistons, right? Isaiah Thomas spoke about how they built the Bad Boy Pistons up to be even more than they were during the time because they wanted that foe and they wanted that publicity to go with Jordan. It's like, oh, like these guys are like kind of like clipping Jordan's wings, right? So it becomes like the school of thought of like, okay, you have like the Bad Boy Pistons here going against Michael Jordan, and it creates like this rivalry and this tension that further feuds the games because you want to see what comes of that clash. It's not like, oh, like, you know, I love this guy and I love this guy. You're not really as tuned in to go watch that particular game, right? Even with just the simple, just like looking at maybe even fighting, right? Fighting is a little bit different, but there's that whole press run. You have like the standoff or the face-off when they're face-to-face with each other and creating that tension. A lot of the shit that they be doing is manufactured. It's not even like real life. They only do that because they want people to tune in more due to the fact that like, oh, wow, did you hear what so-and-so said about so-and-so? Oh, man, I can't wait till they face off each other and let's see who like actually gets the last laugh type shit. You know, I don't think people really understand that. So people were talking about, and it's perfectly fine to have your own takes about it. I mean, you could be an athlete that doesn't talk trash. You could be an athlete that does talk trash. But I think to deny its importance in competition is very short-sighted. So now let's talk about, is it needed in powerlifting, right? Because powerlifting is a very individual sport, and you don't really get the opportunity to talk as much trash as you would like to, right? And someone said that talking trash in powerlifting is actually like, it's cringy and it looks corny or whatever. So as someone that people talk a lot of trash to, right? People talk a lot of trash to me. And I actually think it's necessary. There comes some type of added value to what's happening whenever there is trash talk, right? Whenever, okay, so for example, whenever I was going through my little back and forth with a competitor that I had, a lot more people tuned in to what I was doing because they wanted to see what would come of me and that person going back and forth. Right. I remember when I started posting about that person and taking little subliminal shots, my story views shot up because people love drama. People love the bullshit. Right. And amongst that drama and bullshit, there was a competitive back and forth that was happening. And that's just part of sports. And that gets more eyes drawn to it because you have people that are choosing sides and trying to figure out which way they want to sway against. But people also don't realize like both sides have to tune in to watch that matchup. And that creates more revenue and that creates more eyes, that creates more possibilities for the sport. Now imagine if we had a machine behind us building up that whole back and forth. Now you get like this crazy moment in the sport. You look at, I'm so sorry for the people that aren't like into powerlifting as much. I promised y'all for episode 1 we wasn't gonna be on that shit, but just for the sake of the argument, we're gonna dive into it. But Amanda and Daniela, that was a huge ass powerlifting matchup. That video right now, if you type in Amanda Lawrence versus Daniela Mello, I think it was 2019 IPF Worlds. That video has like either over 1 million or like multi-million viewed video. And why is that? It's because not just because it was like a close matchup, but also because there was a team Danielle and a team Amanda camp. Like when they went head up, people knew there was some type of animosity and they wanted to see who would win. They wanted to see really badly who would win. So I'm not sure if that video gets the amount of views. If it did, if there wasn't any animosity, little subliminal trash talk here and there, and intrigue as to who was going to come out on top, given the circumstances of them like throwing subliminal shots at each other, and people knew within the community they didn't like each other. So I think that, once again, we have to kind of accept, number one, like in powerlifting, we are kind of behind in sports. Like, this is the same community that questioned me whenever I wore a suit to my warm-ups. Like, that's something that's super common in any other sport, but people look down upon me for doing so just because I was adopting something that was done in more popular sports, right? So I think that we just need to acknowledge that there are certain aspects that we need to adopt within the powerlifting community in order to see the sport grow, which is another topic that I'd like to talk about. Actually, it was like a pretty decent legion of people. Whenever we post content, right, for the Better brand, there's a certain way of marketing to kind of pull at the heartstrings of the individuals that are watching, or at least try to capture their imagination. On that post, which wasn't even, I didn't even like take offense to it. It was more so it just sparked an idea because I'm like, why would, like, what? Damn, do people really think like that? This guy goes, cringe, it's just clothes, right? So I was like, that's interesting. Then my creative director and athlete manager, Sean Mills, I always call him Weez because that's just, that's his name to me. But Sean Mills, he posted content that he got from the drop along with him, I think, lifting or something like that. And it was, I mean, he had the clothes on, he had the shiesty on in the gym. And someone said, cringe, or like, it's just lifting, it's just a bar and weights, right? And it really kind of opened my mind to thinking, I'm like, why? Wow, like, not why, but it's like, damn, like there's really individuals out there that want you to just only believe it's quote unquote just lifting, right? Which is really interesting to me because the people that are making these comments, I'm like, they're powerlifters, like they're people that lift as well. And when I looked at their content, it was nothing but lifting on there, right? So I'm like, why, what caused you to go on his page and then comment, it's just lifting? Because to you, it's not just lifting, right? Like I look at your page right now, it's literally just you lifting. So that means that you care about it enough to make your whole damn Instagram page lifting, right? But when I first saw those comments, I was like, okay, that would be really interesting to dive into. So I started going back and forth with the guy, just trying to like get a better understanding of like his point of view so I could present that point of view on the podcast. And he was of the train of thought that it's not that serious. And, you know, I guess trying hard comes off as very cringy because we don't have a very big sport and it looks lame whenever you give it a lot of attention. And I was like, I believe that he took his personal experience, put it, you know, in a bag in a vacuum and assumed that that's how everyone else should feel. I would say to people that, and we could push past just the lifting thing, whenever you tell someone that it's just this or it's just that, I think you limit the possibilities of what it could be. When I saw the individual say it's just clothes, I couldn't help but laugh because I don't think he understood the ripple effect of what these clothes, right, quotation marks, has had in our little ecosystem here. Like we generate a living for multiple people off just clothes. Like I have been able to like parlay my lifting career into, damn, looks like, am I crying? Bro, I have like a tear in my eye for some reason. I swear to God, I'm not crying. But I've been able to kind of parlay the lifting into a clothing brand that does very well for itself. And we take it seriously because it's what we do and we love what we do. To say that it's just clothes, if I were to say it was just clothes, it would have never become what it was, or it would never become what it is today. Like never. If I were to just go to the gym and say it's just the bar and it's just lifting, I would never be here. I would never be making a living doing something that people do for a hobby, which is like insane because for that person, maybe if they open their mind a little bit more or they maybe gave it some effort or gave it some more care, it could turn into something different than just lifting, right? Because what I found in life that a lot of people tend to do is they tend to downplay things that they care about because they're scared of failure. They're scared of putting themselves out there. They're scared of rejection. I'll tell a quick story that I've told on many podcasts and content. Whenever I have a way I'm going to tell the story. Whenever I was transitioning away from football in college, right? I went to Texas Tech University, which is in Lubbock, Texas. That's about maybe 7 to 8 hours away from Houston, Texas, right? Funny story, I was there when Patrick Mahomes was there. I listened to him talk really quick, and I was like, wow, that's an interesting voice. Then I heard him throw a pass. It was insane. Anyways, I told myself football is not for me. I found myself actually enjoying the gym over football and athletics. I was like, bro, I'm actually mad at my practice right now because I'd rather be lifting. So I transferred over to the University of Houston. And then I basically started pursuing my fitness career, whatever that was going to be. And in that pursuit, I would post my workout every single day. I would go to the gym, LA Fitness, by my mom's crib. I would film my workout, piece it together as I was eating Chipotle, and upload it onto Instagram. At this time, Instagram only had 15 seconds, so there was only so much you could upload. I used to like put music on it, all that type of shit. And I would do this every day religiously. And this girl that I went to high school with, because I didn't have a following at this time, obviously. Like there was a couple hundred people following me, all from school. This girl commented on a post I made one day. I'll never fucking forget it. She goes, Russ, no one cares about you lifting. If you post another video of you lifting, I'm going to unfollow you tomorrow. And I was like, I remember I responded back. I wish I screenshotted this shit and had it like archived on my phone somewhere. But I replied to her back. I was like, you could go ahead and unfollow me tomorrow because I already have tomorrow's video planned out and ready to go. So it's like, and it's funny because then she, after, a year or two, she came and like, sent me a DM and said, like, I like what you're doing, da, da, da. It's like, man, fuck out of here. But anyways, had I listened to that person and just succumbed to the idea of this is just lifting, like who the fuck cares, I would have never been able to kind of like go on this amazing journey that I have over the last couple of years. And I think people need to kind of like think and realize like, yo, like this shit could be a lot more than you're giving it credit to, right? Like I got people in here that are like watching me talk right now. Like if Duhan looked at his camera, Duhan's my videographer. If Duhan looked at his camera and said, man, it's just a fucking camera. Like it's just filming. I'm not going to do this shit. I mean, look at that motherfucker now. He's like one of the top editors in the game, videographers in the game. He's made a decent way for himself, and he's out here doing it for real. I think people just need to give themselves more credit for what they're doing. Like, it's not just lifting for you. Like, it's not. You spend money on it. You spend time on it. You probably ignore your girlfriend to go do it. Like, it's not. I wish your girlfriend thought it was. I bet your girlfriend wishes you thought it was just lifting, right? Even thinking in a bigger scale, when you look at it, basketball is just a fucking ball dribbling up and down on the floor. Like the guy that created the basketball, the guy that created basketball, people could have looked at it as like, oh, it's just dribbling. It's just bouncing a ball up and down on the ground. But it took people that started caring and started realizing they could be way more than that to build the sport up and get it to where it's at now. Back in the day, people never thought that the UFC would be where it's at. They're like, boxing is king. And they're like, just, let's stay in our little niche right here and do our thing. But the UFC's now, Conor McGregor is like the biggest star. Like the UFC's everywhere. I watch the UFC every Saturday, right? But it would have never became that had there were just people, or it would have never become that if people never came in and realized how much bigger it could be, right? CrossFit, it's fucking CrossFit. It's passed up weightlifting and it's passed up powerlifting. You want to know why? Because a motherfucker came up in there and said, wow, this could be a lot bigger than it is right now. And they took it and ran with it. Now you have people calling themselves the fittest people on earth, right? That's a term that they coined, but they captured people's imaginations, and now they're, you have the CrossFit Games and all that type of shit. And I think that what sucks about being in the powerlifting community sometimes is that it's filled with hipsters in a sense, and hipsters in its purest form is someone that goes against the grain and someone that just doesn't like shit that other people like. And they want to keep it that way. They don't want to popularize powerlifting for whatever reason. And I think that we often work against ourselves whenever you have people pushing the boundaries of what powerlifting could be. I find it very unfortunate that people try to pigeonhole that and try to stifle that and say like, bro, you shouldn't care too much, bro. It's just lifting. Or like, bro, this comes off as cringe as fuck. Like it's just powerlifting, right? I think that hopefully there will come a time somewhere down in the future where we look back at certain people and look at them as like, oh, they were really trying to get the sport to where it's at now. And then I'm speaking from someone that's like watching what's happening, like, probably in like 10 years. But I think that whenever I saw those comments, I was just like, I think people just do not realize how far you could take something when you actually take it seriously. And also, don't be scared to take shit seriously. I could have been a pussy and just like listened to what that girl said to me and then just been embarrassed. Because she wrote that shit in the comment section. Everyone saw that shit. Low key. People hit me were like, oh, yo, like, you see what she said to you? I'm like, yeah, it's fucking my account. I got a notification for it. Yeah, I just think that if people stop being so fucking pussy to chase their dreams or chase what they actually like to do, you'd be shocked at where you're able to actually take things. Like, if you're listening to this right now and there's something that you want to fucking do in life and you're scared of what people are going to think or people are going to like not take you seriously, just fucking do it. I mean, most of the people that listen to this podcast are fucking young. You got time in a sense. Like, you got time. It's like a weird conundrum. You got time, but you really don't got time. Like, think about how many years will pass because you're too scared to like attempt something that you're scared of what people are going to say, right? There's a lot of shit that I do that I'm sure from y'all's perspective, you're looking at it and you're like, I mean, yeah, you could do that because you're Russ, like whatever the fuck that means, right? But there's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of people that are pushing against me to do some of these things. I dropped this podcast, did great, and some fucker goes, man, I swear to God, people will do their best to tear you down. Someone goes, everyone with a following thinks they're a podcaster these days. Like, goddamn, bro. Like, I just can't upload a goddamn podcast. Like, I've loved podcasting since its conception. Now it's a problem if I want to start a podcast, right? So, anyways, I typically do not dive into like what people are saying. Like, even my team knows. I tell them, I'm like verbatim, like, do not send me no shit that a motherfucker said about me because I'm not trying to see that shit. I've said that in the chat verbatim. I'm like, please do not send me no shit that people are saying about me. That's another thing too. Before we jump on to the next conversation, I think people consume too much fucking hate content. Why would I want to see some negative ass shit that someone's saying about me? Like, I never understood that. Like, people that have a following that I've seen, some people actually go and read Reddit threads about themselves. Number one, I don't think I've ever been on Reddit. And I don't look at negative comments. Like, I just don't. I think that you eventually become the shit that you consume. And if you're constantly reading bad shit about you or what people think about you, eventually you're going to start having a very negative view upon yourself and you're going to start pump faking on shit. You're going to start rethinking shit. You're going to be like, damn, like maybe I shouldn't do this because fucking John out in Iowa was going to say some shit about that. Like, fuck John in Iowa, number one. And number two, you shouldn't even be concerned about what someone thinks about what you're doing, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like a lot of people end up shackling themselves to what other people think that they should be doing. And you end up doing that whenever you consume a lot of negative content, especially about yourself. It's unhealthy. And I think that a lot of people, they just, I don't know, maybe it's just like what our generation has kind of turned to. But I think that I just do not consume negative content. I don't read Reddit threads. I don't read YouTube comments really like that. I may come across some comments here and there that just happen to pop up. But for the most part, like, I'm a big believer in myself. I'm someone that thinks I'm doing the right thing. I trust my team and my creative direction. So I just have faith in that and I just keep pushing. You know, I think listening to negativity, listening to comments about yourself is only going to push yourself back or hold yourself back. And you don't even realize it because you consume so much of it, you can't even tell when it's happening. So anyways, this past weekend, a lot of shit happened. And there was something that I just missed the opportunity to speak on. And when I realized I missed it, it really annoyed me. Hey, was the Giannis thing last week? Was it last week after we recorded or before we recorded? It was earlier this week? Last week? Okay, yeah. So, okay. Let me set the table for y'all. Shout out to the 5 girls that listen to this. We're about to talk a little bit more about sports, but it's going to be relatable enough for you guys to kind of understand what's going on. Okay. So we have this amazing basketball player. He's Nigerian. Shout out to my Nigerians. Shout out to me too. Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Him and his team were the 1 seed, and they were actually favored to win like the NBA championship, right? And they lost, right? A reporter asked him, hey, was this season a failure, right? And Giannis basically said, yo, like, there's so many things, like, I'm able to provide for my, basically he just used that I was able to provide for my family. I was able to like, I don't look at this season as a failure. I look at it as a stepping stone to success, right? It's when I heard that, it's hard to argue, right, with that sentiment because Giannis is not a failure. No one that provides for their family and does what he does is ever going to be a failure, right? But context is everything. Context changes everything, right? When you look at the context of what that reporter was asking Giannis in that moment, Jesus, I just dropped my phone. When you look at what Giannis was saying, or what that reporter was asking Giannis in that moment, was this season a failure given the fact that you were the number 1 seed and that you got beat by a team that barely made the playoffs? Is it a failure, right? I think, me personally, I'm an all or nothing type of person. I mean, just looking at the context of it, yes, it was a failure. But he's not a failure, right? Giannis is not a failure. He has won in life. He's going to continue winning in life. But you look at it in that isolated moment for that season, you failed to accomplish the goal, which was winning the championship. But I think that's an even deeper conversation because failure is okay. Failure does exist, which is fine, right? But you have to have the mental fortitude to push past that and learn from your failures, quote unquote, right? What was interesting to see was a lot of people were kind of like circulating that. And I think it was the mindset wasn't wrong. I think the context wasn't right, if that makes sense. So it's like that sentiment and that thought pattern is amazing overall, right? Like if we have, for example, right, with Better, we have a projection for a launch, total revenue. Let's say we're supposed to make X amount of dollars. Just for the sake of conversation, let's say we're supposed to make $200,000, right? On launch day, launch happens, we make $50,000. I'm like, that's a failure. That's a failure, right? But as I reflect and I step back and I look at the company for the year, I'm like, you know what, man? We're still doing all right. We're okay. But in that isolated moment, in that event, when I have to answer to Weeze, when I have to answer to Brad, which is our marketing guy, we all gonna say, yo, that shit was a failure, which is perfectly fine. But we have to learn from that. But I think with the context of like that particular situation, it's unfortunate because you can't you can, but it's tough because like Giannis is a good guy and he is someone that a lot of people love. But I think that whole air and that whole moment got turned into something that it never should have been because he guided the conversation into an area, I think off of emotion as well, that I don't think it needed to go towards. And it was just really interesting to hear and look at everyone's kind of like take on that. I think Kendrick Perkins, I don't watch too much ESPN First Take, but I think Kendrick Perkins had the right. No, Kendrick Perkins and Shannon Sharp. They both had the right thought pattern when it came to that. He goes, Giannis, it was a failure. It's so funny the way he broke it down. But like I said, it was interesting to me that he also mentioned Michael Jordan because I can tell you right now, I feel like, just looking at how Michael viewed success and failure, it was very black and white for him. So whenever he mentioned is like, Michael's played for 15 years. He only won 6 championships with the other 9 years of failure. Michael will look at you and be like, yeah, damn near. Like, it felt like failure to me. So it was just a very, very interesting conversation just because I saw a lot of people talking about it. I'm super interested in sports psychology. I just love, like, the mindset of an athlete. I like thinking about what particular athletes would do in certain situations. Kobe, rest his soul, I think he had this perfect take about failure, right, and not winning championships. He was very deadpan. I think someone asked him like, "Is this season a failure or something like that?" He's like, "Did we win?" It's like, "No," and it's a failure. Like he just said it very deadpan. I think I even seen a clip of his wife, like way back in the day, where she's like, "Every season that he doesn't win is a failure because he works so hard and he's away from me. The least he could do is win a championship." Like. That's of the mindset that I'm from. I'm not the biggest person on like, oh, okay, like, this season was still a success because I gave it my all. I'm just not at that point in my life, and that's just not who I am. I'm like, yo, the goal was to do this. I didn't do this. Very black and white for me. Okay, how can we build upon this? What are we going to do going forward? I failed here, but I'm going to build myself back up, and we're going to try again next year. So yeah, it was just something that was very interesting to me. Whenever I looked at that conversation, I was watching the reporters talk about it, and then I started seeing like celebrities and everyone else kind of like applauding, and there was like very very few people kind of like coming out and going against that opinion. But as you're listening to this, let me like maybe even drop a comment in the comment section and let me know, what do you guys think about failure in sports? Like, number one, did you think that what Giannis said was good? And then number two, just think to yourself, like, how do you approach failure as an individual and then also as a competitor? If you're listening to this and you compete in whatever sport and you didn't do what the goal was to do, how do you view that particular situation? So, my last podcast as well, we talked about Dylan Brooks, going back to the NBA, more sports shit, right? We talked about Dylan Brooks and trash talking, right? And I said that you have to be very careful when you trash talk, because yes, it's good for the game, and it's mostly just like competitive shit. I don't view it as like a negative, but what happens when you trash talk and you can't back it up, and then the rabbit get the gun, it don't look good, man. It does not look good. So LeBron, actually, let me see if I can go to the post, man, because that, I'm not gonna lie, that was a moment. And it's funny because that was a moment on social media, but I mean, that's where we're at today, right? He posted, fuck, man, this ain't LeBron James' page. I was about to say, man, this is LeBron James' fan page. There we go, King James. This shit was hard, I'm not gonna lie. Mind you, Dylan Brooks plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, right? After beating the Memphis Grizzlies by 40, King James posted, if you ever see me fighting in the forest with a grizzly bear, help the bear. That shit was hard as fuck, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's a very cliche. It's like a very used. It's a highly used line and term, but just the moment in which he said it, he didn't talk trash all series. After he finished the job, he just posted that shit and kept it pushing on to Golden State. I'm like, God damn. Now you got people talking about how like Dylan Brooks is not getting re-signed by the Grizzlies, and it just looks really really bad, because even to start that whole conversation off, Dylan Brooks said, "Oh, like he's old. I don't respect him unless he gives me 40." Bro, they lost by 40 and got eliminated from the playoffs. And you got King James. Let me say that shit again, because I don't think y'all motherfuckers understood what just happened. He said, if you ever see me fighting in the forest with a grizzly bear, help the bear. That shit is hard, because the Grizzlies help the bear. The Grizzlies a bear. The grizzly bear. Okay. I just want to make sure that you guys understand what the fuck just happened. That shit was at 4 million fucking likes, bro. I mean, I know it's King James, but just like, it's so weird how moments have now transitioned to like now happening on social media, right? Like you had the Jordan crying meme, you had the meme of J.R. Smith, like Henny God. You had, you know the meme, Henny God? Yeah. You had the other meme of, whenever D'Angelo Russell and Nick Young snitched on, basically like told the whole world that Nick Young was cheating on Iggy Azalea. Just crazy moments happen on social media now in the world of sports. It's just crazy how far that we've come to a point now where you could get like kind of messed up on social media. In the athletic world, right? Okay. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is like oddly near and dear to my heart. Jerry Springer passed. Very, very, very sad. I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but I was chilling and I saw him like, damn, Jerry Springer passed. God damn. For those of you guys that don't know, Jerry Springer, he actually did a lot of things. Was he the mayor of Ohio or something? I'm pretty sure he was like the mayor or like of like something. He was actually like into politics a little bit. I think after something like that. Yeah, he was a what? Mayor of Cincinnati. Jesus, I said mayor of Ohio. Hey man, I'm not a politician, but he was the mayor of Cincinnati, right? But other than that, I mean, what he was really popular for was having a TV show where basically, like, I guess people like do lie detector tests, and it's like almost like confronting like cheating or baby daddy shit. You just random. He was Maury before Maury. If that makes sense to you guys. I know Maury, like, he's like this generation's Jerry Springer, but he was like a more ratchet. He was a more ratchet version of the Maury show, and that was like a humongous part of my childhood. Like Jerry Springer. I remember the days that like I would maybe be sick or something like that, or even during the summer, like there was the Maury show. I'm laughing because I'm about to say something that I just remembered. I used to watch America's Next Top Model. Is that weird? No, okay. Everyone watched it? Dudes watched it? Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'll dive into that a little bit after. I'll dive into it after. I was sorry, guys. There's a lot of people here in the room, so I was just kind of getting some feedback on that. But yeah, Jerry Springer passed, and I just felt like it was like a big part of my childhood. And I'm starting to realize I'm getting older. You know, we're getting to a point where like people that you like not idolize, but people that you grew up on. I mean, they're passing, and when you start seeing that, you're like, damn, like it kind of makes you realize, like, damn, like my time on this earth is definitely numbered. Like when you think about all the people that have passed, or when I start thinking about the people that have passed in my lifetime, that I used to just, I mean, like that was a staple in my household. Jerry Springer, America's Next Top Model. Like when you start realizing, damn, these people were like a lot older than me, and then you start seeing their mortality show. It gets like in a trippy situation, especially like when you're young, you feel like life is forever. Like you feel like this shit is not gonna come to an end. And I talked about it on my last podcast, as I'm getting older, like sitting down don't hit the same no more, man. Like if I'm sitting down, my knees gonna start hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like if I just finished up a squat session like the day before and I sit down for a decent amount of time, my knees gonna feel creaky. You know, I can't just pull up to the gym no more and just start working out, because if I do that shit, I'm gonna get injured. Sean, which is over here, he used to just be pulling up to the gym, no warm up, just jump straight into his workout, just vibing. I be looking at him and be like, man, I remember fucking 4 years ago when I could do that shit. I'm 28 now, I can't do that shit. My fucking stomach fights me every time I eat something, bro. Like, I'm getting to a point now where like I'm reminded of my mortality every single goddamn day. So when I saw the Jerry Springer thing, I think that really hit me, just because I'm like, damn, that was like a big part of my childhood, right? But going on to what I was talking about earlier, yeah, America's Next Top Model. Like, I'm starting to think that I'm a baddie. The whole room went silent. Yo, I don't know, man. I feel like in my past life, I was probably a baddie. I don't know. Like when, like I like listening to female rap. They go hard. You know what? Let me give y'all a song real quick. There's this song that I heard the other day. Let me see if I can find it. The rapper's name is Amaretta. Amaretta the Great. Let me find it for y'all, man. This song, if you could listen to this song and say it's not hard, you are capping. You are a fucking liar. The song is My Way by Amaretta and Key Glock. But yeah, I think I'm a baddie. I mean, you guys already said I look like Ice Spice, so I mean, fuck it, you know? But when I don't know if it's weird to watch America's Next Top Model. I was watching that shit unprovoked. Like, I would watch it because I'm like, I like the storyline, man. Like, these girls would be fighting each other low key, and they're trying to like all chase their dreams. I also used to watch Powerpuff Girls. Phenomenal show. You're with me too? All right, cool. Duhan's with me. But I had to ask the TL, which is Twitter. I'm like, yo, any dudes out there watch Powerpuff Girls? And thankfully a lot of people started responding back and saying, yeah, I watch Powerpuff Girls as well. But is there I don't know, maybe I'm a baddie. Should I not say that on the podcast, that I'm a baddie? Because I think there's something about dudes that fuck with like women's energies. I don't know, man. I'll be in the gym, and there's some days where I come into the gym and I start blasting some ass throwing music. Like, I don't know, it just hits different. And also too, I will say this, like women rappers, they got to a point now where like they be eating some of these dudes up, man. I don't know how y'all feel, but people like, you got Lotto, you got Amaretta, Ice Spice. I didn't like Ice Spice. I started listening to some of her shit. Her lyrics aren't the greatest, but the way that she just puts things together and like the charisma that she has with it, I fuck with it. Like, what's that song? Diana? Princess Diana? I like that song. It's actually not, it's pretty catchy. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. I think what ends up happening is that people hate an individual and the movement so much that they don't even take the time to actually check out if the person's actually good or not. And when I was one of those people, I was like, man, what the fuck is this Ice Spice shit? Like, the fuck? Like, what's the song? Oh, you thought I was feeling you? That nigga Munch. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? That song, not the greatest. Then I started listening to some of her other stuff. I was like, okay, it's just not too bad. But I think something needs to be said about like women kind of like slowly passing some of these like other rappers up. Like when you think about maybe like a Meg Thee Stallion, or I know people aren't the biggest fan of like Coi Leray. Goddamn, her shit is hard to say. But like they fucking doing their thing. Nicki Minaj was killing that shit too. I mean, she's fallen off since then, but I mean, she was killing most of the rap dudes as well. And I think that I think a lot of people just don't realize that. I think I'm just trying to defend me being into like women shit. Like, I'm trying to defend the fact that I will listen to America's Next Top Model, or I will watch America's Next Top Model, and I will watch or listen to female rap music. But then that also lends me to question people when it comes to people's inability to get into anime, right? Because I've allowed myself to, tap into my feminine energy or listen to, female rap. But I think that there's people that hold themselves back from tapping into things that they feel like that children like, right? So let me use them as an example. Shout out to Dion and Gia. Dion is the designer for the Better brand, and Gia is basically my PA, right? My personal assistant. I have been trying the longest to get them to watch anime, and they will not fucking do it. Dion is of the mindset that anime is for children, anime is stupid, and he doesn't want to watch it. And I think Gia is of the same mindset as well. What's so funny is that anime actually has very, very mature content, which is so crazy, right? But I think that a lot of people, they get stuck in this idea of who they should be, right? I tap into my inner child every day. Y'all see me on IG story. Y'all see how I be acting. I think it's a beautiful thing when you're able to tap into that idea. I remember when I got young, or not got young. I remember when I was young, I told myself I never want to be like one of these old niggas that are just too hard, to like tap into different energies. Like, I think it's beautiful whenever you're able to like be a fan of something, love something publicly, be joyous about loving something publicly. Some people are almost too cool to be a fan. Like, they feel it's like beneath them to like actually like something. Does that make sense? Like something that they feel like other people shouldn't like as well, right? But going back to the anime conversation, if you are someone, right, that you believe anime is like childish as fuck, you don't want to get into it, I challenge you to pick up, I'm gonna name probably like 5 different anime, right? I challenge you to start watching Death Note. I want to, let me say my favorite anime of all time. This is gonna sound crazy. A lot of who I am today is because I watched Naruto. Like, I'm not bullshitting you guys. Like, there's sometimes I'm working out and I shit you not, dead ass. I'll literally be like, damn, like, fuck, man. Like, Naruto wouldn't give up in this situation. Like, I'm being so serious. Naruto wouldn't give up in this situation. Or remember when, the whole village hated him and he was able to, like, confront Pain and, like, win them over and shit. I actually watch Naruto versus Pain before every single powerlifting meet. That's one of my rituals. I watch it every single time. Every time. And it gets me so fucking motivated because I'm like, damn, this motherfucker took down, like, the biggest boss. Why am I fucking scared of this? Not scared, but, like, I shouldn't have no nerves going to this powerlifting meet because I'm him for real, right? But I draw that inspiration from Naruto. So I would challenge someone listening to, watch Naruto. That's my favorite anime of all time. Another good anime is Death Note. Dark as shit. That's an anime, right? Easy to watch, fast as fuck. If you could watch Death Note and still hate on anime, I just think that you just have a very evil soul. You just don't want to like anime. Point blank period. I challenge you to watch Attack on Titan. That might actually be darker than fucking Death Note. Actually, people that like Attack on Titan, you might be demented. I like Attack on Titan, but I'm saying, like, if you, like, truly love it, you might be a little bit demented. But that's okay because it's an amazing anime. We just look at me like, what the fuck? Bro, Attack on Titan. Okay, so Attack on Titan is, like, very just... The things that they tackle in Attack on Titan, like, the shit that be happening, and it's just very... It's very demented when you really think about it. Full Metal Alchemist is another anime that tackles a lot of adult tropes and adult themes. That's it. Like I said, if you go into that and you leave after watching those animes and say, like, this is not good, at that point, man, I can shake your hand and be like, all right, bro, cool, you just a hater. And I can accept that. But what I will not accept is people speaking out of ignorance. You haven't even given that shit a chance. You haven't given it a shot. You don't even know if you like it for real. You're scared to like it because you're scared to be a nerd just like me. Or be called a nerd just like me. Like, I feel like people, once again, people don't give themselves the opportunity to kind of, like, nerding out, being weird, quote unquote. I'm always saying that because that's how people feel like it is. I just feel like I'm being myself, and I'm not scared to be myself. So I think that if you're going to try anime, number 1, Naruto. Number 2, Death Note, because it's easy to watch. Number 3, Attack on Titan. They're about to wrap it up. There's other animes I just wouldn't really recommend for the first time watching just because it's not really... I wouldn't put them up there because it is kind of childish a little bit, but I think that whenever it comes to being able to tap in more into that childlike energy, I feel like you should be able to do that because that's just, it's spawning for me also being okay with listening to female rap here and there. But how much time do we have? Oh, how much, like, is it at 45 minutes? Damn. Yeah. Now that I think about it, man, like, this shit flies. Yeah. Is there anything else I should touch upon? Because I'm thinking, I already ran through, like, the talking points that we had. Finals predictions? Or maybe I'll talk about Steph Curry and LeBron James. Yeah. So, damn, this is like a whole sports pod on this one. Okay. We can talk about legacy and greatness because I think that's another good conversation. So we could stem this conversation from the fact that Steph Curry and LeBron James are going to be playing each other, or they're already playing each other. They played each other last night too, and they're having a series, right? And the reason why that this is so monumental is because they've played each other a lot in the finals. And what I wanted to touch up on is the idea of greatness. I think a lot of people, they arrive somewhere and it's their first time being there and they're like, I'm great. You're not, right? It's easy to make something happen one time. The challenge comes whenever you have to make it happen multiple times, right? 1, all right, I'll see you. 1 time, that's cool. 2 times, all right. Could have been a coincidence, right? You made it happen back to back. I respect that. 3 times, oh shit. Okay. This motherfucker might be him for real. 4 times, all right. You throw up your hands. Now some of you might even start hating that dude because it's like, how the fuck does he keep doing it? 5, 6, 7. Like, I think you guys understand the theme, right? What I think has happened in society is that we get to people are obsessed with having the next quote unquote great thing. And they don't realize that greatness is something that's repeated over a period of time, in my personal opinion, right? There's been so many different moments where people have reached the pinnacle of success, and that's it. They just kind of fall off, right? That's not great. To me, that could happen to almost anyone. Greatness is repeating that result over and over and over again, because then that creates like who you actually are, right? Whenever something happens one time, you can say, okay, that was like a one-off. That's not who I am, but it happened, right? But after you start repeating it, then you can start saying, okay, like I'm actually that person. Like this is a consistent thing. This is a theme. This is who I am, right? So LeBron James has won 4 championships. I mean, I don't know if I need to explain who the fuck LeBron James is, right? Steph Curry has won multiple championships. That's what makes this matchup so pivotal and so important, right? Because they're people that have done, they're people that have won multiple times over and over and over again. So I think that whenever you look at people that start, I guess, trying to, I don't want to project, but whenever you look at people that try to claim that they're the greatest, right, after only putting it together one time, you just have to sit back and think, like, where have we kind of landed at in society to where we don't appreciate people that have done it over and over again. It's going back to the Dylan Brooks conversation. He's like, oh, like, I don't respect people until they can give me 40. Like, you don't respect LeBron James that's won 4 championships, that is literally, as he's playing, the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. You don't respect him? Really? Like, you don't understand that this man went to 9 straight finals, something that you've never even been to, right? And I think that we're so ready to discredit individuals that have been there and done that, right? I was having this funny conversation with a member at our gym. He actually works at the gym too. And this is going to come off as crazy because, like, this is just how we talk in the gym. I said, who you're trying to be, I have been for the past, like, 5 years, right? To the people listening, please do not kill me. We're just talking shit. That's our relationship. We're inside the gym. We talk shit to each other. We have fun with each other. But he's on his way, which is great. Like, he's on his way and he's killing shit and he's doing his thing and it's beautiful. But I was trying to show him and tell him, like, I think that there's levels to this, and I think that you're on your way, but I don't want you to get a big head just because, like, you're getting some praise from people here and there. I'm like, I want you to be able to, like, get to that point, and then once you get to that point, start repeating that over and over and over again. And it's really interesting to talk to the youth because they view clicks on social media and they view, like, views as, like, the end-all, be-all, like, the pinnacle of shit. I'm like, no, man, like, that viral shit, it can happen to everybody. It kind of can, but once you start doing that over and over again, going viral shouldn't be your goal. I think consistency should be your goal, right? Consistently great things. We could even move it off of sports. Like, if you get an A on a test, could have been a fluke, right? But if you're on the A honor roll, that shows that, like, you're consistently this person, right? If you make a lot of money on a deal, could have been a lucky deal, right? But if that's, like, who you are as a person, I mean, you just a fucking money-making deal maker, right? So I just want the younger individuals, because I know I have a younger audience, kind of, like, listen and pay attention to things that when it's done over a period of time, over and over again, that's what true success is. That's what true greatness is, right? But whatever you do it once or twice, you have to really start looking at it. It's like, okay, is this a one-off? Is this something that or can I call myself great, or can I really talk my shit like that if I'm not actually doing this on a year-to-year basis? So, yeah, I think that when we go back and think about what's happening with Steph Curry and LeBron James, like, this finals, Or not finals. See, that's what's crazy. I'm almost looking at this shit like the finals because I was watching last night and I posted on my IG story. I was like, this has a finals feel. And it's because I'm so used to seeing LeBron James and Steph Curry face off against each other in the finals, which is crazy that we're watching this now, like in the Western Conference Finals. But even just thinking or maybe making a prediction who's going to win. Damn. I'll say, you know what? Fuck. Because you know why it's so hard? Steve Kerr, which is the coach of the Warriors and Steph Curry, has not lost a series outside of the finals. Like, he's only won, right? But then LeBron, he's just I've never really seen LeBron lose a series in the past, man, like couple of years. I mean, like a decade, damn near. I feel like whenever he got pushed out in the play-in, that was like more so due to injury. It wasn't more so because he couldn't play anymore. So it's kind of hard, man. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Lakers, man. Yeah, I know. I'll have to go with the Lakers just because, like, LeBron, it's hard to. I feel like the way that I'm basing this is that who am I gonna find it more awkward to see lose, right? Like, what's my heart telling me? My heart's telling me, like, yo, I just cannot see LeBron James losing. I just feel like somehow his team is gonna find a way to pull it out, right? So, I think the Lakers are gonna win this series, and then after that, I think they're gonna end up going to the finals. Now, who's gonna win the finals? I have no fucking clue. Once again, it's kind of hard to see LeBron lose whenever he gets to that point. Celtics, I'm not sure they're there yet. Maturity-wise, like, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to take the reins. Not sure how consistent they are. But the Lakers have done it before. Like, LeBron did it in 2020. So, we'll see. Now, we're probably at like 50 minutes, right? All right, cool. I wanted to, as I like kind of like try to figure out how we want to take this podcast in regards to creating like individual segments that are unique to us and things that you guys look forward to. Before I actually started recording, I asked a question on Twitter, and I said, yo, I'm about to record. Is there anything you guys want to hear me talk about? Right? So I think what will be cool, at the very least, is to read maybe like 2 to 3 different tweets, shout you guys out as I'm like reading the tweet, and then just talk about whatever you guys are asking me. Because I feel like I was actually kind of browsing some of this shit, and there's actually some good questions here. So let's go ahead and go to the tweet. Let's look at some of these. Look at some of these questions. Ooh, someone asked me some good ones. Someone asked me anime. I'm going to say Phil3XPT asked me anime and what lessons different animes has taught me. We kind of already talked about anime. I'd say the biggest lesson that anime has taught me is just like the basic concept of not giving up and believing in yourself. And here's another good one. Empowering the people around you, in a sense. Like, when you look at Naruto, his never give up mentality, I think one of his strengths was his ability to unite people and believe in people and allowing people to uplift him versus him just straight up being like the strongest person around, right? And I think that has been very pivotal for me as I've kind of grown in my business life. With me running a company now, running 2 companies, I have to rely on people. I have to build people up. I have to almost empower people to kind of help uplift the business and like me and myself and like whatever we have going on. I can't do everything. And I think that there is this moment for my people that have watched Naruto. There is this moment where he met a character, right? And that character was like, you have it all wrong. You're trying to be the leader of our village, and that comes from the people making you the leader, not you taking the reins and becoming the leader. And what that meant for me was that I have to keep pouring into the people around me, until they're strong enough to help uplift me, damn near. That makes sense. Like, for example, Izzy took full reins of this podcast. Like, Izzy controlled this podcast. If I never like kind of told Izzy, yo, man, take control, right? Who knows if this shit would have ever been able to come about, right? With Duhan video, like Duhan's gotten to a point now where like he uploads YouTube videos. I don't even fucking check it because guess what? Me and Duhan have been working for so long, and like I've poured so much into Duhan that Duhan is damn near an extension of me, right? So I think that's like one of the biggest things that anime have taught me. I'm a very prideful person. I'm a very do-it-yourself type of person, and as I've grown, I've realized that I cannot do it myself, which is like the hardest thing to admit and say out of my mouth. But I cannot do it myself. There's certain shit I'm just not the best at. Other people are better at certain things than me, and I have to relinquish those different responsibilities to individuals that are more than capable of getting that job done. So that was actually a pretty good question, and those are lessons you can learn if you actually watch anime. Let's look at some different ones. Favorite thing about being a part of VPN. It's so weird. I like their exclusivity. I like how exclusive they are. I like the fact that they don't sign influencers, really. They sign like actual athletes. So if you look at their athlete roster, it's like pro surfers, fucking marathon runners. They have a lot of like football players. They have like NFL football players. It's so insane how they pivoted from sponsoring athletes to now just sponsoring like sponsoring fitness influencers to now sponsoring like actual athletes. Like I remember I tried throwing the lob up for them to sponsor a fitness influencer, and they're like, no, like, you know, that person isn't actually involved in like any type of like athletics or anything that we go behind. And I was like, damn, like that's an interesting take. So I think that's like one of my favorite things about being sponsored by them. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna answer two more. I'm gonna answer this one. Someone asked me the Mamba mentality and what it represents to me. So for those of you that do not know, I actually have a tattoo. Let me see if I can show the camera. Oh, okay, I got it on this camera. Yeah, so I have a tattoo. The tattoo is actually Kobe's logo, and inside of it is the Black Mamba, right? I got that tattoo last year, right? And what that tattoo represents for me, right? Kobe, the Mamba mentality, is basically like by any means, right? When I'm in the gym sometimes, I literally just play Kobe highlight videos. But the Mamba mentality is the ability to lock the fuck in regardless of what's happening in your life and accomplish a singular goal that you have for yourself. When I'm inside of the gym, and the people that work out at Corrupted Strength, which is the gym that I own, they know how I am when I work out, and they could speak to this. I'm not the person that is talking right now when I'm inside of the gym. I'm like very like singular focused. I'm only concerned with what's going to help me get better for that particular day and that particular session. People have walked away from watching me work out and be like, hey, like, is Russell okay? Like, is everything all right? Was he in a bad mood today? It's like, nah, I'm locked in, I'm focused, right? And I think that's what the Mamba mentality represents for me. As I grew up and I watched Kobe play, and I heard some of his snippets whenever he would talk after a game in his press conferences, I started identifying more and more with who that person was when it came to their approach. And it started resonating with me more. And I'm like, fuck, man, like this guy gets it from me. I think that this is something that I want to model, kind of like my work ethic after. And I think that, once again, for me, the ability to lock in no matter what the fuck is going on in your life is definitely what the Mamba mentality represents for me. That was a good question. Let me run through one more question. We've talked so much about athletic and sports and shit that I don't want to bring up another one. I was hoping that would be a little bit different. Oh, man. I wanted to talk about AI. Yeah, I should probably just go. Yeah, I should probably just talk about AI. All right, because someone asked me aliens and ancient civilization conspiracies, but for whatever reason, that sparked my mind to think about AI. And I've thought about this shit when I was driving. We're good. I'll probably just go on a little bit longer, and then I'll answer that question. Okay, I have whenever AI started coming up and shit, and I started seeing the capabilities of Chat GPT. I was like, bro, this shit's scary. Is anyone else not seeing what I'm seeing? Like, there's people that are like, oh, this is fun. We're pushing, society forward. I'm like, bro, this shit kind of scary. Like, y'all are creating an artificial intelligence that is learning and growing on a daily basis. Like, you keep feeding it information and it keeps getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Did y'all motherfuckers not watch Avengers Age of Ultron? Did y'all not see what could happen? Bro, when you think about it, Age of Ultron is literally fucking Chat GBT. GBT. Like, what the fuck, man? I'm scared, man. I'm scared we're going to have fucking Ultron out here. But with all that being said, one of the interesting things that happened with, AI is the new songs. Hey, man, I fucking love the new songs, right? The new songs that have been coming out with the AI technology has been actually fucking phenomenal. I actually like it a lot. There actually are a lot of Drake songs, and I know a lot of people were talking about how the fuck can you listen to a Drake song that wasn't from him. I'm like, easy, because this shit sounds fucking good. So there was Winter's Cold by Drake. There's Heart on My Sleeve. Oh, sorry. There's Winter's Cold by AI Drake, and there's Heart on My Sleeve by AI Drake, and there's one more that I really like. Actually, there's not a name to it, but it's on TikTok, and I have it saved because sometimes I'll have it replaying during my workout. Fucking amazing. That's one of the best things I can say about AI right now is the fact that there is an ability to create almost like unreleased songs. Because one of my favorite things I used to do was when I was big on music is that I would go, what was the website I used to go on to? I forgot, but I would go and like you would have all these leaked songs of artists that they were never going to release due to like clearance problems or something like that. So I have a lot of songs that I listen to on my YouTube or on YouTube that people are like, oh, what song is this? Like, I've never heard this shit before. I'm like, yeah, like you're not on that, bro, because it's an unreleased song. But another thing that was very scary about AI though is the fact that it does have the ability to clone and mimic your voice and like what you sound like. Because I feel like we're going to get in a different era where we are going to find ourselves having to battle a whole different side of like allegations, right? Like you could put together a sound clip of me talking, like AI could put together a sound clip of me talking and then now just have my voice and just be able to mimic that. And you can make me say whatever the fuck you want, right? And that's very scary for people that, your reputation is basically like how you make your living. Because you could just fucking ruin someone's reputation overnight. And no one cares about the truth when the lies were entertaining. Like, a lot of people are, so whenever rumors come out about people care more about the rumor than the actual truth. Like, the rumor gets spread everywhere, and then, like, in silence, you find out one day, like, oh, that shit wasn't actually true. But the damage had already been done. So that's, like, one of the scarier things that I think we're going to start seeing ramifications for that in the future that people aren't really thinking about as much. Maybe they are. I don't know. But even the guy that created Chat GPT, he left Google, I believe, and then started talking about they don't understand like what they're trying to like mess with. Like, this is getting dangerous. And he wanted to speak freely about his life work. I saw something about that. But yeah, I just think that we're just getting in a dangerous realm where people are going to be able to kind of like copy and mimic things that you do. And then also I just think that we're fucking building a scary robot out of AI, and I'm very concerned actually when I think about it. But I try not to think about it because that's something I don't want to deal with in the future. Okay, so one more question, and then we're gonna be wrapping this bad boy up. No, I don't want to talk about working out. I don't want to talk about that though. Okay, we can end on the shoe collection. Also, shout out to Shibby Bacon. I'm gonna say your name. shout out to Miguel, aka Shibby Bacon, that had that question about the aliens and ancient civilization conspiracies that ended up having me talk about Chat GBT and AI. I'm not big on alien and ancient civilization theories, by the way. Like I'm not a conspiracy person. I am curious as to how the fuck we came up with the pyramids, though. That's one thing. But other than that, not the biggest person. I'm not the biggest conspiracy person. Okay, let's talk about my shoe collection. For those of you guys that are listening, I'm decently into shoes. I wouldn't say that I'm like the biggest. How many shoes do I have right now? Duhan's laughing. Maybe like 50. Maybe more. Maybe less. Let's just say 50. I have 50. I have like a shoe / trophy room at my crib. My top 5 shoe. Okay. So number 1 for sure. I'm speaking in silhouettes because the type of shoes that I like, there's just way too many different colorways and shit. So I'm gonna just say silhouettes. My favorite silhouette, point blank period, is the Jordan 1. It's versatile as fuck. You could dress it up, you could dress it down. I could wear it to work out and be super comfortable. It's great for squat. And it like I said, you could dress it up and down and it just goes with everything. You guys should watch Air. Great fucking movie. I think it's gonna be movie of the year. Number 2, I would have to say, which other shoes? I really like, man, it's like a 3-way tie. I would have to say the Jordan 3, 4, and 5. Just because they kind of like mixing together. The Jordan 3 and 4 kind of mixing together for me. I just recently copped the SB collab with the Forest. Fucking amazing shoe. Everyone was saying that the toe box still isn't. They fixed the toe box. My toe was still kind of fucked. But beautiful shoe. Love the colorway. For the one that just dropped. The 3s, like you have like the old school cement. I mean, you have like the cement 3s, white and black. Love those. So let's go to number 3. Top 3 favorite shoe silhouette. I'd say the 11s. I really want the Space Jams. I got the Breads. Oddly enough, those shoes are great to work out in. A lot of people always question, why do I squat in those? I don't know about y'all. It's actually one of my favorite shoes to squat in. Okay, so then that's 3. Let's go to 4. 4, I would have to say the lows, like the Jordan 1 lows. I'm not. Actually, the Dunks had a moment. Like the dunk lows. Man, I'll just say the Jordan, the lows, like 1 and the dunks. I guess like same thing. Sometimes the Jordan 1 lows are a little bit too flat for me. Like it doesn't have a lot of like, I guess like what's the word? It's not as thick around the edges. It's like a really skinny. So for example, I have my Travis Scott 1 lows. I just don't like how much it just be showing my ankles a little bit too aggressively, even where my high tops. But the dunks, the lows, like they fit a lot better in my opinion. So that's 3 or 4. Was that number 4 or is that 3? 4? Okay, so then 5. Number 5. Maybe Vans, which is weird. But I used to love. So yeah, I'm gonna say Vans. I'm gonna say Vans because Vans tap into like that creative side of me, I guess. And I say that because for people that haven't been following me that long, I used to draw on Vans as like a hustle. So whenever I dropped out of college, I needed a way to make money. So what I would do, and at the time, like I had these Vans that I custom made. I drew all over them and like all that type of shit. And I needed to make a little extra money. So I started drawing on Vans as a side hustle. So what I would do is every single morning I would drive to the Galleria. Remember when I would take orders online, and I'd take that money, drive to the Galleria, order a shit ton of Vans, and then like, literally pile them up in my apartment and start drawing. And there's like a sentimental value that I have with Vans. And I used to draw like, damn, maybe I should go back on my Instagram and see if you can find that shit. But I used to draw like, Goku, like just graffiti on that shit. What else have I driven? I drew maybe SpongeBob or something like that. I don't know, just a lot of different shit. And it holds a lot of sentimental value for me because in high school as well, I used to stockpile Vans. Like the skates, which is the SK8s, the lows. Whenever they collabed with what was it? Zombie Brains or Brains, some shit like that. Like I just remember having those those Vans, and like them being very, very just like kind of like pivotal in like what I was interested in back then. But yeah, that was another good question. But I feel I'm not gonna answer anymore. I think that's good. But yeah, I think I'm gonna probably do this before every single podcast. Maybe just like ask you guys something on Twitter. or maybe even on the Better Take Podcast Instagram page. And then you guys can have more of an active role as to what we're talking about on this podcast. But hopefully in the next coming weeks, like we start diving into like maybe having some people visit and sit on the chair as we have a back and forth conversation. It's just crazy because like holding these conversations by myself isn't that difficult. Maybe it's because I fucking talk to myself all day. I wanted to ask, I'm going to leave on this note too. Do you guys see? Because right now I could go a whole other fucking hour on this shit. But when you guys are at the crib, do you guys talk to yourself? Do you guys like have like healthy conversations with yourself, whether it be in your head or out loud? Because I saw that some people actually don't. Like some people don't have like a fucking inner thought, like an inner voice. I have a voice, so just something to leave, and maybe you guys can comment like in the. Maybe you can like splice this up and make it a video, like a little drop thing. Like, do you guys have like an inner voice or something like that? But I think that's gonna wrap it up for episode number 2. Like I said, I want to thank you guys so much for the support on the most recent drop. We just want to keep pushing the boundaries on what we could be as a company, and I'm very, very excited to see the very positive response on like the aggressive rebrand. Well, it's not even like that aggressive, but just the rebrand. And then also thank you guys so much for the support on this podcast itself. Bro, we're at fucking 2. This doesn't sound like a lot, but 2,000 views on an hour-long podcast that just started, like on YouTube, is like fucking phenomenal. The response that we got whenever we announced that we were be doing a podcast, I think that first video got like over 100K views or some shit like that. And then it got like a shit ton of likes, which I was actually pretty shocked by. Like, I didn't know that many people wanted to see me have a conversation with myself or just have a podcast in general. So thank you guys for the continued support. I want to keep building this podcast up and create this space where we can just all talk freely and have conversations that I normally wouldn't have on social media, because this is a long form way to kind of talk to you guys. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Better Talk podcast. I'm the host, Russell Orhe, and I hope you guys check in on the next one. Peace. Boom. Easy.